Welcome back to Ugly Truck. Today we're talking about LS swaps and everything you need to know to have your PCM programmed.
Okay, so when we started off this LS swap series, we said that we were going to talk and show you every tiny little detail that you needed to know to get an LS swap done. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a portion of it today, not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you are doing this stuff, you got to know what to do with your computer, okay?
Yes.
And we get a lot of questions about it, and we are going to try to answer all those questions right now.
Yes. And if you have more questions, be sure to let us know in the comments, and we will do what we can to help you out. Yep.
One of the biggest questions that we get is VATS.
Yes.
Vehicle Anti-Theft System is what that stands for.
Yep.
And you absolutely have to have VATS programmed out of your computer.
Yep.
A little schooling on VATS and how it works. This is a body control module, okay? And in these cars that they're getting these dropouts out of, or whatever your donor is, it has a body control module, okay? The body control module, it senses your doors being opened with the key fob.
Yep.
Even if you open it up with a key, it knows that you've entered the vehicle properly. It senses the correct key has been turned in the lock cylinder.
Yep.
And when all those good things happen, this thing sends a signal to your ECM.
This one.
Okay? Your electronic control module, the one that runs your engine and your transmission on this computer. And without that signal, it shuts down the fuel injectors.
Yeah.
Okay? And so, yes, you absolutely, when the day comes that you get one of these computers with your donor or dropout or whatever, that computer has got to be sent in to somebody, or if you know somebody locally that can do it, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And they will basically set that computer to where it sees the code from this BCM all the time, telling it that it's okay to start that vehicle. Okay?
Yes.
And without doing that, it will not run.
Yeah.
All right?
And that's sad.
Yeah.
When you get to that point.
Yeah, you don't. That's not the point you want to be at when you go to fire up your LS swap.
No.
So I wish it wasn't like that. I wish it was just something that you could send a 12-volt signal to. It's a data signal that comes from this to that.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to get around it. Okay?
Yeah, it's got to be programmed.
Yep.
Got to do it from the inside, man.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
So with VATS out of the way, we will need to know some specifics about exactly what engine, transmission, harness, PCM we have, and what it's going into. So
for this video, we're going to use this truck as an example.
Yep.
This is the point right now where we know what we're going to send that computer in and have done.
Yes.
Okay. Because most people work with 5.3s on these things, I'm going to just talk about 5.3s, even though this one's getting a 6-liter, okay?
Yeah.
But most of them that you do, they're going to be LM7s or L59s, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, and the big difference there is going to be whether or not it's flex fuel.
So LM7, not flex fuel, L59, flex fuel.
Yep.
Okay? Different fuel injectors. You're gonna say you buy a LM or an L59, okay? They're kind of the most common.
Yeah.
But you wanna run the LM7 intake off of it, and LM7 injectors and the computers and everything off of it. So
basically do away with the flex fuel option.
Right. Maybe that was your only choice for having drive-by-wire.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So those are the kinds of things that you have to let them know. You got to say, okay, well, I've got the fuel system off of this, and it's a LM7 intake, injectors.
Yeah.
It's drive-by-wire, And your fuel injectors, if you're not sure about your fuel injectors, they all have a number on them. You get a hold of them, pull them out, and take a look at them and read the number on it, and just tell them what the part number is for the injectors that you have.
Yeah.
Because they have a different flow rate, different injectors, so that's what they need to know. Okay? Camshaft, if you were to get into putting a different camshaft in it or something like that, you definitely want to let them know. A lot of times, like, they're just going to be able to program it for like a stock style camshaft for whatever engine that might have come out of. But if it's something that's out of the normal range,
something that GM didn't put on the market.
Right.
You know, something other than what would take a stock tune, basically.
Yeah.
So
then you're going to have to find somebody probably local that could dial that engine in once you get it running.
Really tune that in.
Okay. So it's gonna take quite a bit more personal work, not just a program to get it going. Okay.
Yep.
Next would be drive-by wire or drive-by cable.
Yep.
Let them know what you're doing there.
Yep.
Okay. That's pretty simple. All right. Now we're really delving into it.
Yeah.
Mass airflow. Okay.
Yes.
You do not have to run mass airflow on it. You can delete the mass airflow system on it. They don't run as good without mass airflow. Or I hate when people put them right in front of the intake too. They don't work very good there. They need to be off to the side a little bit, like in that stock position, over by the air filter, the breather.
Yeah.
If you don't have room for them though, they can program that out of it to where it just runs off of the oxygen sensors. So that's up to you. I never do that. The mass airflow sensor makes it run so much nicer.
And that kind of goes back to any variation from stock. That motor was made to run with a mass airflow sensor, and so it just works better if you can keep that. If you have the opportunity to keep that, even if it's a little more work, it's worth it.
Yeah, the mass airflow sensor, it does a lot more than just sense the amount of air that's coming in. That's also your intake air temperature sensor.
Yeah.
So it knows your air temperature that's coming into that motor, and it makes a big difference on how they run. So I've seen them both ways, and I think it definitely makes a big difference. So I always go with the MEF sensor.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, emissions. Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about the EGR first. Okay.
Okay.
Prior to 2004, those engines may have an EGR valve on them. Okay.
Yeah.
As far as I know, everything from 2004 on up doesn't have an EGR valve. I like the ones without an EGR valve because they take up a lot of space. They do work okay, the ones that do have EGR. There's no problem really with the way they run or their function of them. They do work fine. But I just don't like the space that they take up.
Yeah, because it's right by your, what did you say, the AC compressor right there?
Where we would put one, yeah. It goes from the right side exhaust manifold right in front of it up to the intake manifold. So in order to eliminate that, you would have to replace that right side manifold or cap it off where the EGR goes into it, and then put a different intake on it or cap that off somehow to remove that EGR valve.
Yeah.
So to me, it's always just better just to try to find a motor that doesn't have EGR.
Yeah. So especially if you're thinking about running AC on your swap, that's something to take into account now. It might save you some headache down the road. So.
Right. But aside from that, if you do have an engine that has an EGR on it, and you do not want to see your check engine light glowing all the time like a lot of EGR valves do.
Yeah.
When they program that computer, they can remove that. Basically, the computer will quit looking to set a check engine code.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah.
Okay?
For that particular.
It's not that it doesn't make it function or anything like that, because it will still function and everything properly, but the computer just does not set a check engine light for it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the same thing with the rest of the emissions that we're going to talk about. Say, like on the engines that we do, we removed the rear oxygen sensors, okay? These trucks, they weren't required in the 80s to have rear oxygen sensors, so we don't put them in our trucks now, okay?
Yep.
The law would be that if it had that emission in it at that time, that it needs to be in it, okay? That you can't remove an emission.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not removing an emission as long as that vehicle didn't have it. Okay.
Yeah. The
Right.
original vehicle you're swapping into, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. So the rear O2 sensors, we'll talk about that. You have your front O2 sensors, okay, in front of the catalytic converter.
Yep.
And then you have your rear O2 sensors, which are behind the catalytic converter. The rear O2 sensor, all it does is sense how well that catalytic converter is working. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind
Kind of a quality control.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is, really.
Yeah.
When you look at the front O2 sensor, you'd notice that they read millivolts, going from almost 0 all the way up to almost 1 volt, and they do it very quickly, okay? Because that computer is trying to get that air fuel ratio all the time to be right there at 14.7 to 1, or whatever it's programmed for, that RPM or whatever.
Yep.
So if it looks at the rear O2 sensor and it sees the same spikes going up and down, then it knows that those catalytic converters they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
The same air that's passing through the front of the converter is passing through the back of the converter. So that's where our code P0420 comes from.
Yep.
Say you live in a state where you have smog tests or whatever. Maybe you want to leave the rear O2 sensors there, and then you can always plug a scan tool into them and see if the catalytic converters are working properly.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if they're not working properly, then it's not going to pass the smog test, and then you're in trouble there.
Yeah.
But they can still remove that computer from looking at that rear O2 sensor and turning on a light if it's not working. Okay? So you're still going to be able to look at it and see how everything is functioning. You just are not going to have to be staring at a check engine light because your catalytic converter is not performing up, 100%.
Yep.
Okay?
So.
And it's the same thing with all of the emissions, like the canister purge.
Yeah.
They would remove the computer for looking for, what's that called? An evap leak.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not going to have a check engine light on because of that stuff. That really, after you do an LS swap, it's not going to be there any longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I send a computer in, I tell him to eliminate all the emissions that are not required to run that engine.
Yep.
Okay.
Based on that original vehicle.
Yeah. And the law of the states that you're working, but
yeah, that whole thing, states and their laws.
Mm-hmm. And then all you got to worry about then, once you get your check engine light in there, and when you see that check engine light come on, you know that it's probably something pretty serious related to how that engine is running. So
yeah,
it's either going to have a code in it for running lean, rich, oxygen sensor codes or something like that. It's the real important things that you really need to know about on your LS swap.
And another thing to think about is your cooling fans. What type of fan you're going to use and what temperature you want that to come on if you're using an electric fan.
Right.
So.
And it doesn't matter if you're using an electric fan or a mechanical fan, really. If you're going to drop your running temperature down to like a cooler thermostat, you would want to let the person that's programming it know that you put in a cooler thermostat, and they can program that computer to turn your cooling fans on. Say it's 10 degrees cooler, okay?
Yeah.
Then they will do that. If you have a mechanical fan, it doesn't matter. The computer still will do the same thing. It's just that you're not plugged into it.
Yeah.
For it to turn that on. So if you ever think like in the future that you may want to add some electric fans to it, then at that time when you're having it programmed, then you might want to let them know that I put a cooler thermostat in it and I want it to run at this temperature.
Yep.
Okay. The reason they run at such hot temperatures right now is because of emissions. They want that engine to climb up to the highest temperature they can run them at, which is like between 200 and 210 degrees on most of them right now.
Yeah.
And they don't have to run that hot to run good. So like when we do them, I drop it down to a optional temperature, and then breaks it down to like 195 degrees. And I think it's a little easier on the cylinder heads.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
A little nicer to the engine, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe your heater doesn't work as good.
Oh.
That's the other reason they want it nice and hot, because they want to bring it up to temperature real fast, so nobody gets too cold.
Ooh.
You know.
Don't get chilly.
Oh. Wow. So, but most people that are doing LS swaps, we're tough. We don't care about stuff like that.
Exactly.
Right. All right. So that takes care of that. So make sure you tell them what you want the fans to run at.
Yep.
And if you're not sure, just leave it alone the way it is. The setting that the fans are at right now, it's not going to overheat. It's going to come on at 220 degrees and shut off at 210 or whatever that vehicle is programmed for or whatever. So.
Yep. And that's something that you can reach out to your programmer, whoever's going to do the work on your PCM, and discuss that with them. Same with the emissions stuff. If you have questions, whoever's going to do it should be able to answer your questions.
All right. So transmission, you're going to want to know what the transmission is that you're operating. Especially if you're changing transmissions to something else, you really need to let them know.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you're using, say, if it's a L59 and you're running a 4L60 behind it, that's all they really need to know about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it was a standard transmission, something like that.
It gets a little more complicated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably are going to want to have like a local tuner tune that thing if you've got like a standard tranny.
Yeah.
Or not stock. Say you were putting a LS swap in front of a
like a 350 or a 400.
Yeah.
You know, if you kept your stock transmission in this thing, that definitely changes some things on the programming side. So.
Yeah. But most of the stuff that we do, it's all we try to just do mostly just stock stuff. So we give a person back a vehicle that if they want to fiddle with it afterwards, then great. But we give them back a good run-in and driving vehicle.
Yep, and we try to make it clear. You know, this is 1986 C10. This is LS swap. You know, there's not a lot of weird gray area. You always know what you're working on. So.
Exactly. Yep. So next thing you're going to want to know, you got to know what your final drive gear ratio is.
Yes.
Okay.
Your rear axle.
So that your engine needs to know what your speed is.
Yep.
In order to make your transmission operate properly. So the only way it knows that is to know what your axle ratio is and your tire size.
Yes. Okay.
So they need to know how tall your tire is.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference on how accurate the speed sensor is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where you get into, you may have heard VSS signal, vehicle speed sensor signal. And that's where you tie into your speedometer and for your cruise control. Mm-hmm. It's kind of an important part. Speedometer is pretty important. So if you're standing back looking at your truck right now thinking some new wheels and tires would look sweet, now might be the time to make that decision. You don't want to get to the end of it and then, oh no, now my shift points are off or whatever the situation would be. It would be better to know now than at that point.
Yeah. Right. When you set your cruise control, and in order to do 55 mile an hour, you have to set your cruise at 120. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what you're trying to avoid. You want that speed sensor signal to be actually accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the more information about your swap that you can send to your programmer, the better. Basically, it's what did this come out of, and what are you putting it in? What are you going to do with it? So
one of the things, like if you're doing a basic LS swap and you're trying to get it done,
Yeah.
try to keep it with stock stuff, and you'll be much happier getting that thing done and getting it running.
Yeah.
And then once you have it running the way it was supposed to from the stock configuration,
Yeah.
then if you want to mess around with it, then you can start changing things. And then at least when you change something and it doesn't react properly, then you know what it might have been, you know.
Yeah.
Lead you down the right path.
Yep.
We put the 5.3 in her 70 truck.
Yep.
It had a 4.8 in it. So at that point, basically, we're messing with things, okay?
Yeah.
We sent the computer out. We told him what we were doing. He put a program in it for a 5.3. We come back. We plugged a scan tool into it, and it had codes in it for oxygen sensors. So we didn't really know what was going on because they were fine before. And this guy who does them for us, he actually picked up the phone, and when I called him, and he was nice enough that he told me, he's like, no, it doesn't work that way, and you need to look at something else. So I looked at that year what his program was for, and then our original truck, and the oxygen sensors were different.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we use the harness from the 4.8.
4.8. Yep.
So.
And the computer from the 4.8.
And the
just
computer.
programmed different.
Yeah.
And so I bought 2 new oxygen sensors for the 5.3 for what that was programmed for.
Yep.
Put them in, and no problem. Everything worked properly.
Yeah.
So just changing simple little things like that can really throw you for a loop and make your hair fall out.
Yeah, if you have the opportunity to keep it all, one donor vehicle or one dropout from one vehicle, it just simplifies things so much.
So to wrap it up, get rid of VATS.
Hate VATS.
Tell them what your engine is.
Yep.
Hopefully you're running just a stock cam in it. If not, let them know.
Yep.
Make sure you tell them what your fuel system is, your injectors.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, drive-by-wire or drive-by cable.
Yep.
Mass airflow, I hope you keep it.
Yes.
You'll be a lot happier if you do.
Works better.
EGR, I hope you don't have one, but,
Yep.
but EGR and emissions,
Yeah.
just ask them to eliminate what
What you don't.
need to look at basically all the time.
Yep.
And your cooling fan temperature, okay?
Okay.
And let them know what your transmission and your gear ratio final drive is, okay?
Yep, and your tire size.
Yep, so that's it.
Yep.
All right, enough talk. Let's get to work.
Okay, so as a little added bonus, this is the 4.3 V6 that we pulled out of this pickup. It is locked up. It has had a cylinder head replaced at some point in time. Don't know if that's why it's locked up, but basically there's no reason to tear this apart other than curiosity of what is inside, why did it lock up. So, because we're crazy people, we're gonna go ahead and tear it apart, so.
Yeah, I want to know what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
On top of that, the guy who owns this truck, his name is Brian. Brian, I found your 5/8 wrench today. It was laying in the frame of this truck, so stop looking for it.
Yeah,
It's right here.
it's right here.
I have it. It's in safe hands.
Yeah,
Okay? There you go. And it's Craftsman.
it's a good one.
I'd be upset if I lost that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this baby fast.
Alright.
Okay?
Okay.
Oh! I turned it up a little bit. I was having trouble getting it.
Jeez Louise.
One exhaust manifold,
One.
one dipstick,
One.
that's a required push.
Oh no. Can we just set it closer to the heater?
could.
Things humping today. Oh my goodness, you are so helpful.
She was helpful.
Oh.
So this motor is no good, okay?
Okay.
So please don't send us a comment saying why are you taking that perfectly good motor out and putting an LS in it.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's not a good motor.
No. Juice, please back up. Thank you.
I wonder if this guy's going to notice any difference between a 6-liter and a 4.3.
I don't know. This 6-liter is going to be fun, though. 6-liter in a short bed.
You know the difference between a 4.3 and a 5.7?
2 cylinders.
Exactly.
Curious to see if it has something to do with the head.
It wasn't because of this Velcro gasket, that's for sure.
Oh, that's for sure.
You made it lower it a little, or you good?
No, that's good. Oh, is that a short joke?
That was tight.
That was a weird one.
Oh, I dropped the push rod.
Oh, no. Oh no.
Drop another one.
Alright.
Alright, let's bring her down. We'll pull the intake off.
Okay.
And we pull the head off. What? Let's get the distributor out of the way. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What size are those head bolts? 13?
Let's go with 15.
Think so? I said 13. Unless
Oh,
these
you-
that have been replaced are different, huh?
Yeah, those are different. Huh.
Alright, heads off here, huh? I don't think that cylinder had much of a life, you know?
Yeah.
Looks brand new.
Yeah. I don't know how long it was in there. loose.
Delicious. Pump that jack up a little bit. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Ah.
Well, everything should fall apart.
Okay. What do you think, Chris? Oh no. No. I was trying to let not happen.
Oh no. Junk in there. Oh no.
Oh, goodness.
There's a problem.
Oh, there's a piece.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
You didn't notice the problem.
Oh. Oh! That's not supposed to be there.
The pickup tube fell off.
Wow.
Okay.
That stinks.
Yep.
You're just driving along and your pickup tube falls off.
Right.
Not
Okay.
what you
So
want.
these pickup tubes, they sit in there at about like that angle. Okay.
Okay.
And you can see that one's a little loose.
Mm-hmm.
And it fell off.
Huh.
Okay. So,
Is there supposed to be like an O-ring there, or is it just press in?
well, I mean, it probably, I don't think it comes out completely because of the side of the pan, but it just
You
loses
lose
oil
your
pressure right there.
Seal, yeah.
Right. It lost all its oil pressure because that looks like a new pump. Okay, when you say it looks new?
Yeah. Huh.
Maybe. We'll see. Alright.
Look at crusties the rest.
Haven't found the bad one yet. Might be the main. Okay. You want to bring it down some or like it at that height?
Oh, it's good right there.
Yeah.
I want to know where my little piece came from.
Still won't turn over, so it's got a spun main bearing.
Just one new glove?
Yep.
Okay. Whoa.
Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
No. Still not good.
Nope.
Yikes.
We remain with the thrust bearing. Not good. Oops, sorry. So, still not turning. Should turn now. Might have to get my tool. What is your problem? Getting the tool.
Do it. Nope.
Huh. Pretty much looks like the rest of them. Is the cam locked up?
I don't know.
Well, the crank doesn't move at all, so I don't think it's a cam drive.
Yeah, there would be a little bit of slack somewhere, wouldn't there?
Yeah. Cam turns.
Huh.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Ah, it's that rod. See the carnage in there? The crank is broken.
I can't get my own. Oh, wow. Oh! That's not what you want.
Huh.
Jeez.
So technically we should be able to get this portion of the crank out. Okay.
Oh.
That's the front portion of the crank?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Jeez, look at that. That's wild.
Yep. There's your missing pieces right there.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Mystery solved. Oh.
Won't reuse that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but I think we can rebuild it.
No.
No? Okay, so a little different kind of video this week. Kind of wanted to break the fourth wall with you guys a little bit. There are a lot of subjects like this when it comes to LS swaps that are hard to cover in, I guess, what I would call like a regular video. It's hard to like install an engine and then talk for 20 minutes about PCM programming. So a little more of a sit-down type of video, but I hope it helped you out. If there are other subjects like this that you guys would like more information on, we would be happy to include that in this series. Like we said, we want to show you all the gory details, so let us know if you have any questions. If you are in the Springfield, Missouri area and you need a 3-cylinder crankshaft, let us know. But we appreciate you guys watching. I hope you hit the subscribe button, and we will catch you next time.
Oh.